Welcome to the One Thing Today, friends. We are so excited to have you here. New faces, faces that are always with us. If you have the ability to put your camera on, I know it looks like, Maria, you're having some problems with your camera. Please do so. We love to see your faces. We don't care about the crazy hair. We don't care. We just care that you have pants on, friends. We just care that you have pants on. And if you don't, please don't stand up. Like rules. There's just rules to what we do. So welcome to, what is this, session 5?
This is session 5.
Oh, we are flying through the One Thing. And I don't know about you guys, but every time I read and reread the One Thing, I truly pick up things. And it's like I'm supposed to be here right now. And today, the word that stuck out, and you're going to see this often. Wait, did we just lose someone? The Sasquatch took her. Oh, there she is simple. The word that you're going to hear today is simple. But I want you to remember this. Simple is not always easy. And when people would say to me when I was growing up, this is simple, why don't you get it? It was a triggering thing for me as a child with disabilities who couldn't learn the same way other kids were doing. So I'm so careful in all my wording with you guys to make sure that you know, while this task or this thing could be simple, it's not always easy. So today, when we talk about some of these things, remember, simplicity is what's going to help us, but it may not be the easiest thing to get to. Some of these things hurt as we are digging into them, and it's okay. It's so okay for some of these things to be hard because, Tiffany, is it hard to crack open an egg and emerge from it? It's simple.
Right. Well, how about just separating the egg whites and the egg yolk, right?
Listen, I have a special thing and it's disgusting. It looks like it's a nose because I cannot do it. Like link in my bio. Just kidding. I have one. It's the best thing ever. My husband hates it. He hates it. So it's wonderful. But let's get into this. Let's review where we were last week, session 4.
No,
from last week.
Oh yeah, what? It was session 4. I was like, well, it's chapters 8 and 9. What are you talking about, chapter 4?
Well, if today is session 5, I know I'm not good at math.
Anyway, so we're actually starting part 2 of the book, which is a really, really, really short part 2. And I wish I had known that because I would have set this class up differently. However, let's talk about what we talked about in general. We talked about the one thing. We talked about the domino effect. We talked about how success leaves clues. Everything matters equally as a myth. Multitasking is a lie.
A lie.
A lie. Discipline is a lie. Willpower is always on will call. A lie. A balanced life. A lie.
A lie.
And big is bad.
A lie.
It's all a lie. So
it's a lie.
I'm going to ask for audience participation. What's the one thing that we've talked about that you've absolutely loved so far in that first chapter of this, or the first part of this book?
Multitasking is a lie.
Multitasking is a lie.
That's, and I think we've talked about it in not just this class, in other classes. Why is that pushed into our child brains in our early development, in our careers, in our first jobs? Why are people so big on multitasking? I cannot do a bunch of things great at once. I can try, I can fail, and then I have to stop and one thing at a time.
Yeah, the one thing that's good about that is if you can't multitask, you feel like you're like the only one who can't do it. Like you feel like everybody else can multitask. So hearing and reading that multitasking is a lie kind of, makes you feel better because it is a lie.
Right.
It is.
You can't do it.
And now I'm so jaded because of this book. If I see someone's resume or their stuff pops up in my Indeed and multitasking's at the top, I want to share with you because we know it's just so programmed into our brains to say, yes, you're great at multitasking. You can do a whole bunch of things at once. No, you can't. No, I can't. And I'll still talk to you on your interview, but I'm going to the one thing is going to be my gift if that's one of your top talents.
Yeah. Well, and let's just like put our nerd brains on, Brooke. Multitasking came when the computer was invented.
Listen, I did not invent that part of it. Just because a machine can do it doesn't mean the
human brain does it. Like, we weren't supposed to be a computer. That's not how we roll in life.
These are not processors. You cannot take out this hard drive and put a new hard drive in. Lobotomies do not exist like that for this type of talent. It's just not how it works. This is not a chip or a processor or a 2 terabyte hard drive.
Nope.
Yeah, but in the computer world, it doesn't do 2 things at one time. It just switches very fast.
It multitasks.
Yeah,
it multis from one task to another task to another task, right? It doesn't, it stops one thing, goes to another, stops that thing, goes to another. That's true multitasking.
It's kind of like a lot of people don't know how to tab. It's kind of like that. Like when you tab from field to field,
yep,
or tab from one screen to another. You know, I'm a great tabber. So, but it's the same thing. I can go from MLS pin to statewide MLS in a little tab, you know, and it's just different. So it's kind of like that.
And just to share, I'm guilty of having my Zoom Google open, and then I have my work Google open, and my work Google probably has like 500 tabs. It's ridiculous. Absolutely.
It's my brain too. It's my brain. My brain has 8,000 tabs open at every time. And part of the one thing is, how do you make it so maybe there's only 5 tabs open? Because do we really need those? Or when you come into your computer the next day and you've got those 15 thanks for joining our Zoom meeting tabs open where the meeting has ended, those are my favorite to clear out.
Yes.
So I love that you said that. Thank you, because the myth that we multitask effectively is absolute bullcrap.
Yep. Yep. All right. Let's see where we going next. So now we're going into the truth. The truth, right?
You can't handle the truth.
And Brooke alluded to this, the simple path to productivity. The simple path to productivity.
Not easy.
Simple.
Simple.
So be careful how you interpret the world. It is like that. I think, oh, that's a little interesting. So interesting. So in this part, like, and honestly, I really just needed to read the first part that he talked about, with the part where he was describing his life and how he thought he was falling apart and he was failing at everything and blah, 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 and he wasn't. He was just trying to be great at so many different things, right? And then what happened? He thought he was a loser that couldn't get anything done, and he wanted to quit life, right? How many of us like feel that way when we don't accomplish what we're supposed to accomplish because the world tells us that that's what it's supposed to be? Be careful how you interpret the world. It's like that.
It is. Yeah. And we talk about this often. We are the worst to ourselves. Oh my God. Treat yourself like you would treat a child learning all these things, with grace and the ability to make mistakes and fail forward. I really never understood fail forward until coming to KW.
Yep. And the quotes in this section, like, I like all the quotes in here, and yet these next 2 chapters, there's a lot in this book that I was in love with. Like the focusing question, there is an art to clearing away the clutter and focusing on what matters most. It's simple and it's transferable. It just requires courage to take a different approach.
Marie Kondo, your business.
What I found, so I'm going to read because I feel it's really important, right? Did Gary Keller come up with the one thing?
And kind of, no, the one thing has always existed. You just put the words to it.
Right? So Andrew Carnegie says, and here in the prime condition of success, the great secret, concentrate your energy, thought, and capital exclusively upon the business in which you are engaged. Having begun with one line, resolve to fight Fight it out at that line. To lead it in, adopt every improvement, have the best machinery, and know the most about it. The concerns which fail are those which have scattered their capital, which means they have scattered their brains also. They have investments in this or that or the other, here and there and everywhere. Don't put all your eggs in one basket is all wrong. I tell you, put all your eggs in one basket and then watch that basket. Look around you and take notice. Men who do that do not fail. It is easier to watch and carry the one basket. It is trying to carry too many baskets that breaks most of the eggs in the country. This was oh, okay. And then Mark Twain, who I think was around before Carnegie, says, the secret of getting ahead is getting started. The secret to getting started is breaking your complex, overwhelming task into small, manageable tasks and then starting on the first one. Right? When was the one thing written? Like early 2000s, right? When were these guys alive? I feel like I remember writing a paper on Mark Twain back in the day. Way back in the day.
Way back. I think I did too. But things like the Daily Stoic and these teachings, they keep getting referenced in all these books for a reason. And, all these people that have quotes in here, you may not have ever read their books or followed the philosophy, but you're like, oh, I've heard that before. Mm-hmm. It's just the book and the vehicle and the author that speaks to you. Because I'm going to tell you, all these mindset books, all these self-help, it's the same message, just delivered different for the audience who needs to hear it.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, right, like we just need to focus on the one great question. So this is actually my second favorite part of the book because it talks about the 7 different circles in the next chapter. And it's, what is the question? Is it a quality question? Right? Are we asking the right questions? How many times have we just asked the wrong question? The quality of he goes on to say, quality of any answer is directly determined by the quality of the question, right? I think my favorite part of this is ask the right question, get the right answer. Ask the wrong question, get the wrong question, right? Wrong answer, right? Wrong question, wrong question. So when you're thinking about what question should you be asking, what question should you be asking? And I think, and again, this is the last thing I'm going to read out of the book, but I thought they were powerful. The poem, it says, I bargained with life for a penny and life would pay no more. However, I begged that evening when I counted my scanty store. For life is just employer. He gives you what you ask, but once you have set the wages, why you must bear the task. I work for a menial's hire, only to learn dismayed that any wage I had asked of life, life would have willingly paid. That any wage I had asked of life, life would have willingly paid. Like, really? Really? So what questions are we asking?
Or here's a different question. What are you avoiding asking?
Do you want to know the answer? Right? How many times do we not ask the right question because we really don't want to know the answer? Like, perfect example. We did our first power day in the region and it was just a test run, but I'm really excited about it, right? How many of those folks that could have showed up and didn't show up because of this last statement, that any wage I had asked of life, life would have been willingly have paid. So at the end of the day, if more people in the coaching program showed up for Power Day, would there have been a wage paid by their activity and their action? So what would have been the one question or phrase that they should have told themselves in that story, right? Just saying. So the focusing question, which this book is all about, if you ask the people, anybody, what the one thing is about, they will say, what's the one thing I could do such that by doing so, everything else will be easier or unnecessary, right?
Tiffany's newest tattoo going down her arm is that phrase.
So you know. It goes with Know the Numbers with Jen Bovey. We got them all. So when you're asking that question, right, you ask it in a big picture, right? I know what my big picture, what's the one thing I could do such by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary. That's my retirement question. And then the small focus is, what's the one thing I need to do right now? Right now, Brooke, right now.
Pick up the phone. Oh, wait, what are they supposed to do? What are the things? But it's true. It's amazing how the smaller things solve the bigger problem. Let's think back to big rocks, right? If you put your big rocks in first, you can then fill up with all the smaller pieces around it. So when you're starting with that lead gen solves everything. Like if you haven't figured it out yet, lead gen solves so many issues. Your pipeline's empty, lead gen. You don't have closings, lead gen. You don't have people to talk to, lead gen.
Well, and let's change the word from lead gen.
Relationship building.
Build great relationships and then do the follow-up. Because it's not the lead gen as much as it is the follow-up, but you can't do the follow-up unless you have the lead gen.
Right. There's no people there to contact.
And did you just make fun of me? Because I said, like, I just caught that. Thanks.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah. Because it is relationship building. If I said, let's go build some relationships, or I said, let's go lead generate, which is more, put in the chat, which one do you like better?
Don't give us the question you think, the answer you think we want to hear. What sounds better, lead gen or build relationships? Put it in. Build. Yeah. Only Barbara thinks that. Okay. Build. See, Carol's my home slice. She's like me. She's aggressive. Let's get in there. Let's do this.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm at a point in my life too where words can be triggering, but at the end of the day, it is what we're doing. If you have to wrap a different term or phrase around it, cool. But at the end of the day, it's still lead gen.
Mm-hmm. And I've been on lots of these calls. I'm going to like 3,000 dials, 850 conversations, 27 listings, 30 closings, 6 months. It's just lead gen. No big deal. I was a machine. I made it happen. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and what's the big picture? What was the one thing in my big picture that made me ask the what do I need to do right now question? All right. Anybody have any feedback about this wonderful question? How many of you actually ask this question at least once a month?
I ask it every day. When I am doing my grass catcher every day, because I don't have a task list, I have a success list that is based off of all the clippings you pick up behind your mower in your tractor. And I call that grass clippings, right? My grass catcher is that awful thing we all call a to-do list, and those are barf worthy, and I don't like them. So, but the way my brain works is if it doesn't exist on paper somewhere, oh my God, panic inducing. I won't be able to concentrate on that one thing. So I have a grass catcher. Then I break that down into my success list. If I do this one thing, all these other things either become easier or unnecessary, right? I do not like the anxiety of a task list.
I know. So let's break down this question, right? Maybe. We'll see if maybe. So part one is, what's the one thing I could do, right? So in here it says, it tells you the answer will be one thing versus many things, right? You're allowed to pick one thing and only one thing. You can pick one thing. Like, it's not like going to get an ice cream sundae and putting on the caramel and the marshmallow syrup. And like, you're allowed to pick one thing. What's the one thing? And the can do is an embedded command. Who knows embedded commands? We give embedded commands to our customers and clients and people that we want to write offers all the time. So what's the one thing I can do? Right? And then part 2 is such by doing it, that gives you the criteria, right? So if I do that, then this happens. And then the part 3 is everything else will be easy or unnecessary. So do we want life to be easier and unnecessary? Right? I mean, what would it look like if literally for every one listing I took, I got 2 additional pieces of business? Well, what's the one activity that I need to take on to make that happen? And in my world, it's to build the system and process around the marketing and the campaign to make that happen. And then after I do that, it's find the system, process, technology, or person that's going to run with it. And then the third thing is let it run like a machine, right? Because then everything else is unnecessary.
I do, we do, they do, it does.
Yes.
Say it again. I do, we do, they do, it does it.
So the question just helps you get really granular on what you need to make happen, right? What's that? What is it? What is that has to get granular? Let's go back. So the big ideas of the story, great questions are the path to great answers. The focusing question is a double duty question. The bigger picture question, what's my one thing? And the smaller focusing question is what's the one thing that I need to do right now, right? So everybody take out pen and paper. Where should you be asking the focusing question right now in your life? In your life, where should you be asking this question? And then after you write down that area, start asking questions. Take 5 minutes. Just let's say
real quick. So are these the bubbles? Are these the bubbles of life?
Yet. We're not at the bubbles yet.
I see some confused faces. That's why. So I want to make sure they know what are they supposed to be looking at? Personal?
Nope. You're going to, in your life, right this second.
Okay.
Right this second, without knowing the 7 circles, because we're all great students and we know what the 7 circles are, without even thinking about those 7 circles. If you just took a really big look at your life, where is the one area, if you focused in that area, by doing such, everything else would be easier or unnecessary? Write that down. And then ask some questions around it. Because our goal and our mission is for you to, through writing down your questions, you're going to find the one question that you should focus on. And this may be an exercise. We spend a little bit of time doing it now, and you may want to continue on later this afternoon or this evening. Psst, psst. This is building a habit.
I like that. I like that a lot.
I like building habits.
I do too.
Anybody want to share? Anybody brave? Feel like we should.
I can.
Awesome. Share. What was where should you be focusing your energy right now?
Honestly, so I'm on vacation and I'm having such a terrible time, but it's all about my focus should be on who can I help to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. My problem is that I have pretty much utilized all my contacts with Bold. Okay. And for a couple of folks who were kind enough to give me names, and Brooke, this is what I was going to say to you, so you might be able to just not even call, who, like, where do you go from there? Like, out of all the people, out of the people that you can't, like, you can't make people up, where do you go aside from buying leads? And I know that we're not supposed to do that, nor do we want to do that.
Okay.
That's where I'm really struggling right now.
Okay. So what are some questions that we could ask around that? And this is open to anybody that wants to actually share. Who can help Carol out? Not my dog, she wants to share. But who can help Carol out by asking a great question to get her granularly focused?
I've got like 40. I got like 40 for you, but come on, friends. Tiffany and I know this stuff.
This is where you think.
I would say you need to throw it out to the universe. I need to meet people, and then you just have to get out and meet people. I know it sounds very easy. It's really not, but that's what you got to do. You just have to throw yourself out there, and that's it. You put it out to the universe, because if you're just sitting here thinking negative things in your head, then you're throwing negative things out into the universe. But if you throw out into the universe, I need to get in contact with people, with the right people, the people that I can help, my people that I can help, then that's what you will get back.
Yep.
Oh, we have a hand up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi.
I would say the question I would ask myself, and actually that's something that I'm facing the same issue, would be, where can I go to meet those people? Or what kind of activities should I be involved in that would, put me in front of those people? That's what I'm asking myself right now.
That's a great clarifier question. And, I want to, David Heyer, if you have the ability to come off of mute, I would love to pick your brain on this as well. The question is, who am I connected with that can help me connect the others?
Mm-hmm.
So in your market center, who are the agents who need you to cover their open houses so that you can farm those neighborhoods? Who are the agents that are going to have you door knock and do the things that they're not doing or don't want to do at this point in there? How can you integrate back into the market center? Or is it time to get a coach to break through that ceiling? That's usually my biggest. Are you at a point in your world where it's time to get a coach? Or if you're in coaching, how are you tapping into that? So David, if you can come off of mute, Mr. Heyer.
I am off of mute.
I love talking to you about this. We talk about this often in your morning breakfast club.
You mean leverage? We talk about leverage all the time, right? And sometimes the simplest tasks for one agent are difficult for others, right? Is that where kind of the path you're going down, right? And it's not their superpower. So we have a group of agents that make themselves available for showings, for open houses, for opening doors, right? And it's a small little community, but it's one to have. I don't know if that's the question you were asking.
No, that's it. That's it.
But it's important to have that resource.
And I'll look around your MLS and look for agents in your market center. Who has the biggest price point house right now? And then you ask them if you can run a Facebook ad to bring buyers in. You run that ad and you bring buyers to them. And through the lead gen that you're doing on a Facebook ad with speed to lead and all the perfect things, because you've learned all the things from me. Now we're getting in front of people and adding new people. David Heyer, thank you so much. There's ways to do it. We also have to get back to the basics. What am I not doing anymore that if I was doing based on the MREA, everything else would become easier and we wouldn't have to do it?
Because at the end of the day, here's the deal, right? We need to talk to a lot of people. We don't have to talk with one granular type of people. Like, who do you know in your market center that has a team that might have 2-year-old leads, right? Because those 2-year-old leads, those leads from 2 years ago, a lot of them were just getting started thinking about it, and now's the time, right? And the agents on their team might be like, I don't want to call those people. Who in your market center could you say, hey, I'd love to host an open house for you? Go into your MLS and look up a listing that just, and it doesn't even have to be a KW listing or a listing from your market center. Look up a house in the neighborhood that just went on the market. Keep very minimal details so you don't violate your MLS rules, and share, hey, this is Tiffany from Keller Williams. I'm knocking on your door because your neighbor 4 streets over put their house on the market, and they think for every one house that's on the market, 2 others are thinking of putting their house on the market, right? Are you one of those 2, or do you know one of those 2? Who in your world had a life event, had a baby, had somebody graduate from school, thinking of downsizing, right? You could do that in a great, when you have the words, you can do that in a grocery store line. You could do that when you're getting coffee. Like, there's opportunity.
Getting what?
Coffee.
Okay. Thought you lost your accent for a minute. Oh my God.
You could do it in different places, right? I had an agent who went to a farmer's market from 7 to 11 o'clock on Saturday. And I think she talked to 206 people in 4 hours. I know, exhausting. Not a Tiffany.
Like, this extrovert just got really exhausted thinking about that. But my husband also says that I make friends with, I'll talk to a pole at the store while in line, talking to anybody who exists. But we just got to get talking to people. And it comes back to the basics. Create a database, feed it.
And I think the reason we use those excuses of, I don't have a database, I don't know who to call, and this isn't directed at anybody because I've been in the business for 23 years. This is like a lifetime thing, not a person thing. It's because inside us, we are uncomfortable. So getting back to the focusing questions, what's the one thing that you could do by doing so everything else will be easier or unnecessary? I mean, Brooke, we talk about it all the time. Gratitude in the morning to build the energy.
Yeah.
Right? I know. It's a little much at like 7 o'clock in the morning, but that's okay. I'll deal, right? And so what does that look like? So when you don't care about the outcome, it gets easier. I'm not going to care about the outcome. It's just going to happen, right? All right. We get to talk about the success habit. What a great segue, right?
Can I just say one thing?
Yes.
I think all of a sudden I started doing the Scripps Jedi in the morning. I just set my clock for an alarm, and it's given me so much more confidence. And I used to be exactly like that. And I would say I don't have contacts and I can't do it. And I think changing my mindset a little bit and having all of a sudden having more confidence has helped me get more leads and things and do things to meet people. And now I'm saying, what can I do to meet people? Like, I used to always walk the dog in the trails, and it was kind of nice. I'd never talk to anyone, but now I'm walking them in the neighborhood and doing other things to really help me get leads. And all of a sudden I'm really excited about it. So, but before I just would go shopping every time just to try to get my people for Bold. I ended up spending so much money. It was crazy. And nobody really wanted me, but it's funny because it did help, because all of a sudden I have 2 people from the store all of a sudden want my help. And, so it's kind of cool when I finally see that somebody might want my help, and just see how to confidently make those relationships. And I just joined MOAC too. I've been meaning to do it for like 10 years, but I thought, oh, I need to meet more people, and that'll help me too. So
yeah. I love that. Find your community. You know, what do you love to do too, right? Like, we all know I'm a Jeep freak. We all know I'm a nerd. We all know I love to cook and all these things. I find my community, and then within my community, I become that hyper local expert in what I do. Yep. Right. So now when people think of tech, they think of me. When they think of real estate and tech, they think of me. Right? Brooke the nerd.
Yep. Yeah. And you know what I heard you say, and what I love is that when you get confident in hearing other people talk the language, you took that talking of language and made it yours. And that was your one thing, was just having the words to speak. And now you're going to go out and do it more. So you'll figure it out. What's that one thing? And I will say 90% of the time, it's the confidence behind the word. So kudos to you. Congratulations for doing that. All right, Miss Brooke. So you know about habits. They can be hard to break and hard to create. Why is it that the bad habits are so easy to create and the good habits so bad to create? Help me understand that.
Because it's easier. So it's so easy to live in what's comfortable and what we are fooling ourselves with that's working.
Yeah.
Right. Until you work with someone and you figure out, you know, what I'm doing is actually hurting or self-sabotaging all the good things I'm doing, that it's amazing how one habit change, because it's not necessarily a bad habit. It's just not the right habit.
Right.
And one small change, like my big one thing story with how I was not shutting off and I was a workaholic, changing that. Oh my God, did it change my whole life? Not just the one thing I was trying to do, which was my morning savers. Legit, every part of my life got better.
Yeah. Yeah. And here's the thing, like we're going into, and I know it's terrible to say, but somebody reported back, like it's a ridiculously short period of time before the new year. And it's like sad that 2022 is already over. And yet everybody wants to set those New Year's resolutions, and they want to stop doing this, stop doing that. How about instead of stop doing something, you add a habit that will eventually replace that bad habit, right? Like mine, I'm a single mom. I raised 3 kids. I work ridiculous hours, and I have no desire to come home and cook. Well, I didn't stop going out and ordering food. What I did was I added 1 day of home cooking. I added 2 days of home cooking. I added 3 days. And eventually now I do like once a week, I'll turn around and do the takeout thing. Talk about what did that do in my world, which like when you look at, so the circles, right? That one change improved my health. It improved my finances. It improved my relationships by making one change, right?
And something as small as, we've talked about leverage here, and Karina, I'm going to pick on you for a minute because you were so concerned about handwriting all your envelopes, but we talked about what if you did everything and you got it to someone and they did it. It's still addressed by hand. It doesn't have to be your handwriting. Such a small thing. So now you're doing more lead gen, which means you get more business, which means you go on more vacations with that hubby of yours and you buy him the toys to walk around the yard and mow and do the things, right? Like there's this waterfall that's happening because you made one small change.
You like that treadmill, huh?
I think that's really nifty. But all these things, we can't also, just like we talk about, we can't multitask. We also can't work on all these bubbles at once, but it's amazing how if you work on key relationships, all of a sudden personal relationships get better. It feels better because your health is going up, right? What if you started walking with a group of friends every day? What would that do for your personal life and making connections? What would it look like for your spiritual life? Because you're getting out, you're seeing nature. Like there's many bubbles can get touched by one action. And I was not prepared for the one thing coach to beat me up like he did. And how many bubbles it touched because I stopped working by 7 o'clock every night. Mainly, I wasn't tired and cranky, and my family liked me more. But you're muted. There you are.
So here's the other part, like, thankfully we went through all the lies and the myths at the beginning, because you would think, okay, so there's 7 circles and I'm going to work in all 7 circles equally. But is that a reality?
No, that's a myth, because you can't do everything and multitask all these bubbles at once.
Right? So pick the one that's like, I mean, in my world, just doing the food thing impacted 3 or 4 of these, right? So what does that look like in your world? What's one activity that you could take? So our exercise for right now is look at these circles, pick 1 or 2, and then put a question to it, and then answer that question. And we'll take about 5 minutes. Hey, Brooke, can you pull up that worksheet while everybody's working on this?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Hold on, I have 8,000 tabs open.
We're making you do a lot of thinking today. This is a thinking couple of chapters. All right, it's time to share. What'd you write? What'd you write? Who's willing to share?
Barbara.
Okay, don't laugh.
Never.
But under personal, I decided a big one thing would be I would just love it if I could have a home that was clutter-free, organized, efficient, and beautiful. And I boiled it all down, and it came down to, if I make sure that I have no dishes in the sink, and that makes me feel good to have no dishes in the sink.
We're getting a lot of people in the audience. I don't know if you can see them. They are amening. They are yes.
Yep.
So I started this actually 5 days ago, because it just occurred to me. And I have an accountability partner, a friend, And I said, okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a picture of my sink every day and I'm going to send it to you. And if I don't, then I owe you $5. So far she said, okay, when you know, I'm up to, I'm 4 for 4.
It's because you don't want to pay.
So it's a 66-day habit, and you know, so good, and I feel really good. And like you said, other things are starting to fall into place. You know, as far as taking care of my physical health, working on my business, my spiritual health, they just kind of fall into place. That's all I have to say.
I love that. And thank you for sharing. And what's hard about the world we live in, and this is why I'm so pro going into the office, there are personalities such that if I look around my office or my house and things are there, I call them my chaos piles. I cannot concentrate. So this is why it's also so important to take yourself out of your home office, except for Karina, because she's Karina, and put yourself in a space where you can cut the noise and the distraction. Also, Barbara, what would it look like if you could leverage that out? If you weren't the one who was actually doing the dishes or doing the cleanup, or what if there was somebody who came in and decluttered? What would that then look like in your life if the starting point was fresh?
So you're asking if I was independently wealthy and could hire someone to do it.
Lead gen fixes that. Build a bigger business so that way you can afford that. Tiffany loves that. She knew, you led me right down that path. She is so excited right now.
I was like, why am I on mute? Why am I on mute? Yeah.
But it's true, right? So that was the most perfect example of digging into something so that you can be more productive in other things. And you have a goal now. Let's get you a cleaning person. Let's get you to a point where you can have a cleaning person. Same thing, David and Lindsay, or get your kids to do it.
Because at the end of the day, so you make me think. I had a coach who had to work with me for 1.5 years because my motto was, I am the leverage. What do you mean? Go leverage that? Like, and truth. Because you know why? Because nobody could do it as well as I could do it. It's my job to do it. I should be doing it. Blah, 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 blah. Like the stories I was telling myself. And when I finally realized that leverage was like a real thing, I leverage everything. Probably went from, and to Brooke's point, lead with revenue. How did I do that one more transaction or that one more coaching client get hired so that I had the monthly income to be able to do that, right? I love it. I love it.
The term was control freak, not leverage, is what you were.
Oh my God, be nice, Brooke. I thought you were my friend.
Oh, come on. Our agent world is full of people. We would not have to teach these classes about what it looks like for your first hire if our friends were all control freaks. We talk about it because we are them too.
Oh, we are, yeah. And you know what though? Like, and I'm still a control freak. Like, I'm building stuff right now that I should be leveraging, but yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
You're in your other bubbles. That's why.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Is it going to move? All right. And see, so Barbara, you led us right into like, okay, how do you make the one thing part of your daily routine? How do you make it strong enough to get the extraordinary results at work and in other areas? Understand it and believe it. I think, Corinna, your whole thing about throw it out to the universe, like I talk to the universe on the daily. I put this is what I envision my world to look like. And eventually it will show up that way. And once I put it out there, I'm not married to when it's going to happen. Would I like it to happen now? Yes. And yet there's DNA in my world of when it's going to happen. And the faster I work, the faster that universe delivers. Make it a habit, leverage reminders, and to Brooke's point, recruit support. Who's your accountability partner, right? And then finally, this one habit can become the foundation for many more. So keep your success habits working. What one action are you going to take today to build this habit? And that was exactly what this entire session was about. What is important to you? What is the one powerful question? And then what's the habit to put into place? Brooke, I'm going to take myself off share and let you share. But
yep. Was it page 6? You never answered me.
I have no idea.
Okay. I have the way mine. So
we're going to start from the beginning. But before we do that, I'd love to hear some ahas. I know my D is a little high today. I apologize in advance. Although I didn't apologize, I just did it. So give me some ahas. Where are we at? What did you hear? I heard some great stuff today. I appreciate you guys sharing.
I like the quote, the be careful how you interpret the world. It is like that.
Yep.
Like perceptions, everything.
Yeah, I love that. What else? One more, and then I'll let Brooke share. Stop being a control freak.
And I am going to put that as my why, because the house is so cluttered and it's really hard to focus. So I think I will try to go someplace else at times, and also really put that as my why. Why do I want to lead Gen? Because it would just be so good to have the peace of mind to have a clean house that I don't want to run away when the doorbell rings or something. And I'm not embarrassed, and I'm not always feeling like I have to do things. If I could get a routine and time block, it would be very helpful. So I think that's my biggest thing, is just to try to
and utilize. Which market center are you in?
Greater Portland.
So use the spaces available to agents where you don't. Karina's in one right now. She's literally in the phone booth at Elite that they have for agents to have a private time in. And so use those spaces, because the other thing that's going to happen. So this is another thing, Carol, when you start to get in the office and people start to recognize you and your face and your name, then you become a staple in the office. Then all of a sudden, oh, hey, by the way, I have an open house this weekend and I know I can't do it. Can you do it? Mm-hmm. These things happen naturally and organically when they see the same people in the office doing things. It's why we told our productivity coaching kids always be in the office as much as humanly possible, because I can't tell you the amount of top agents that would come out and be like, I need someone to go show a buyer. I'll pay you a referral fee, right? Like, those things are happening in the market centers constantly. So use all the resources that are available to you at the market center level too. And we love seeing you there. Like, I love walking in and seeing all these people in the market center.
Yeah. Energy breeds energy.
100%. It does. And when you hear other people doing their lead gen, all of a sudden you'll start doing, because you're not going to interrupt somebody who's doing lead gen. You better not. I mean, I would, because it's me and I'm in your offices. But I love. And here's the other thing, you're not alone in this clutter thing, because the amount of faces who lit up and head nods that were happening, it's everyone. The plumber's pipes leak, right? There's all these sayings for a reason. The roofer's roof has a hole. My dad was a contractor. My parents' house was the last thing he ever touched, because when he came home at the end of the day, he was exhausted. We deal with homes. We don't want to deal with our own homes, as silly as that sounds. So what can you do every day? And, for you, Paula, it's going to be change my routine to work from the office.
Yep. Right.
Get myself out of here so that when I am home, I'm productive and I'm in home space, not office space. And that can clarify that for you. Thank you for sharing that. And I too have chaos piles. I also have a ton of children. All right. Sharing my screen now, Tiffany.
Share your screen, my friend.
Yeah, Bar, look at that. Look at that clean sink. All right, guys. So I'll put the link up in a second, but everybody see my One Thing Purpose workbook?
Yep. So we've gone through the first section, which talked about why are we really focusing on this? Now, this is section 2, step 2. And essentially what this is all about is, okay, setting your priorities, right? So last week was exercise 1. You want to go up to exercise 1? Nope, the other way. You're going the right way. So it was the benchmark and the trend. Who has achieved a goal in line with yours? What did they achieve? How did they do it? Who helped them achieve it? Let's go to exercise 2. Now it's set that big someday goal. And this is really where the logic makes you think, emotion makes you act. And this is where, like, I had a coaching client who is like a $10 million producer. And he was like, I know what to do. I know how to do it. My goal and what I'm working towards is not big enough for me to take the action. So then I had to ask the question, well, if you didn't achieve that, what impact would that have on other people in your life? What feelings would you have when you had to tell those people in your life that this would not happen, right? When you had those questions asked, that big goal that wasn't so big was actually really big, because logically writing it down on a piece of paper was nothing, but the emotional impact of it was so much huger. So when you look at this, I want you to really think, what is it? Go through this exercise and write down what it is and how it will impact the people in your life. All right, my friends. Any other questions? This was a good, thank you for being interactive. This is
yes, we love it.
Good.
Yes. These are what make my day so much better.
Yes.
Especially when David and Lindsay are on to give me tidbits and history and facts that I never knew.
I know. I love it. I learned stuff about Mark Twain and Andrew Carnegie, and they were really born in, they were both Scorpios, right? Pretty much. I'm a Scorpio. My birthday's Friday. So that's why I know.
We know. We know. Girl, we know. We also know Heidi. We know.
I know. Why we know. Obvious. Why do I always point out that? Because I'm trying to break it. And if I talk about it, maybe it will break someday. All right, my friends.
Here's a quick question for you guys, actually. Who has not had a KPA done? Who has not done the KPA assessment and who has not had their KPA validated? Awesome sauce. Open an email right now or put a note. b.silva@kw.com. Make sure you tell me what market center you're at and we will get those KPAs out to you. It's going to change how you think about certain things too. Sorry, David, just made more work for the TLs.
He's not laughing. He's not smiling. He's just, it's all good. Everything is wonderful. All right, guys. See you next week.
I love verifying KPAs.
I do too. It's actually like, I love it. I love seeing what the job fits. Oh, I just love every part of it.
Now that you opened up that can of worms, somebody asked, what is a KPA?
Keller Personality Assessment. So it's kind of like DISC, but it kind of shows you more in the world of real estate where your talents lie, what you would exceed at, and what things you could leverage out. So when hiring your first hire, you should be KPA'd, but also we will help you KPA the first person to make sure they will match up with you. So send me an email. Yes, I'm going to be like Oprah. You get a KPA and you get a KPA and you get a KPA. Everybody sends me a KPA. And you're right. And here's one thing to remember. Personality assessments do not tell you whether you're going to fail or exceed at something. It is truly a tool to help you learn and understand. It is not to tell you, except for our high Ds, because they love to tell everyone they're a high D and live in that world. So b.silva or salty@kw.com. I am not a high D. And I will make sure your team leader and MCA help you get that KPA so that you can do the KPA.
I'm a Heidi. Bye, guys.
Bye. Be good.
Thank you.